Just be aggressive. Like I felt like we had a lot of chances where we beat them off the dribble and we didn't convert on plays. So I just wanted to try to get to the line as much as possible. I'm real good at driving to the basket, so I just wanted to continue to put pressure on the defense.
When you start making free throws, is that sort of, I guess, settle you down or give you confidence?
Well, yeah, Coach, he kind of has to keep a string going because sometimes I go too fast, because I think I get to the basket. So, when I get to the free throw line, it does settle down, It makes the game easier.
You all these games where it's a 1-2 possession game down to the wire, this could pay off the fact that you're winning these, you're winning these, and you're able to make free throws or keep good possessions?
Definitely. Every game not going to be an easy game, not going to be a 10-point win. In college basketball, you're going to have some grinding out games, and I think that really shows the character of our team. 2 games back-to-back, we had to gut it out and dig down deep and pull out a win. It's early in the season, so we just capitalize on that from here on out. It's eventually going to pay off when we play the big teams in the future.
How much time do you guys spend in practice on free throws? What really emphasize all that?
Probably 100.
Before every game, we have 2 separate groups that compete against each other from free throw line, and no one wants to lose. So you better make your free throws. You got to run, but not crazy. But you got to run.
You think that carries over in these tight games down the stretch?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and then summertime, we spent hours just shooting 100 free throws every day. So that goes to show how that pays off when you actually work on free throws on the off season.
How's the hip feel?
Good.
Yeah. And what was the whole deal with that? Did you have an operation?
I'm back playing now, so.
You guys held Coggins to 10 points below his season average. Was that a point of emphasis just to keep the ball out of his hands, basically?
Could you repeat that?
Is that a point of emphasis to keep the ball out of his hands as much as possible?
Definitely. Just from watching him, you could tell he's a real quick shooter. He's a pretty good scorer. And, it's hard to hold a guy to 0 points for an entire game, but we try to make guys take tough shots. And I think we did a great job of that today, of locating him on the floor and just making everyone else make tough shots.
How do you see the progress? I know it's only 3 games, but you're getting some time on the court. Are you seeing this team grow together or maybe get a little more chemistry?
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a lot of growth since the Bahamas trip. I've seen way more growth from this game compared to the first game in Thomas and Mack, compared to the first exhibition. So, it's going in a positive direction.
Jermaine, is there any difference between driving and looking to score and driving, maybe looking to draw contact when you've got a team in the penalty?
I think it's just taking what the defense gives you. Just try to put as much pressure on them as possible, and once you get to the lane, it's pretty much up to the defense to decide what type of decision you make.
When you led the team with 8 defensive rebounds, but you got out-rebounded by 13 as a whole, what can you guys do to kind of cut that gap as you play other teams coming on?
It's just a matter of just us hitting bodies, wedging guys out of the lane, shot go up, and that's just gonna come with a lot of practice time, a lot of reps at it, and that's what Coach we've been working on that. We're a little small, but we gutsy, so eventually it's going the stat sheet, the rebound column is going to adjust.
Anything else for these guys?
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess I will.
Way too long up.
My bad. Okay, so where do we begin? It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Okay, let me see. We got the win, which is always what you play for. I think that the lessons that we're teaching, they're getting, but they're too slow to, I shouldn't say they're too slow. How do I want to say this? I'd like them to embrace those lessons a little bit more, a little faster. And, you know, like offensively, I just feel like we're not getting out and pushing it and running on the wings as much as I like and pushing with the pass. We did have some pretty good fast break opportunities where we got to the line, got fouled, had a couple finishes in there, but we're not doing consistent enough. You know, we're not running the first guy to the rim consistent enough. We get one to Tyrell, I think, in the first half where he just runs in the middle of the floor. We get a 2-point, but then we don't do it every time. So getting them to be consistent and holding them accountable in the offensive scheme of things, I think, is a critical piece moving forward. They have buy-in. They're great kids. They're not selfish. They're good human beings. I love them all. I just want them to keep getting better so they can have no excuses, you know, at the end of the season, so they can feel like they had a successful season and they maximized their God-given talent. So that's a process and that's a journey and that's what we're working towards. I do think we made a step forward in some areas, but particularly the rebounding was one that we were challenged in tonight, getting out-rebounded by 13. But again, I always like to give the other team credit, especially when they deserve it. And again, you're playing against some experienced guys that have played together for a little bit and a coach who's a seasoned guy that has, you know, is in his 4th year and has his players playing pretty well right now. I mean, they've competed. I think it was tie ball game at University of Washington with about 10 minutes to go or something like that. And then they won a double overtime game against Portland State. So they're going to have a good season. And so hopefully they'll keep winning and that'll help us down the road. Okay, let's go ahead and open it up for questions.
Did you make the decision to have the players, particularly Javon, drive to the basket in the second half with the tight whistles, try to draw some fouls?
Yes and no. We did talk about penetration within the offense. There's different types of penetration within the offense. We don't have a play where you drive into 2 people. So, yes and no. So, when some of those drives didn't have the same, you know, ingredients that we teach. So let's just say that yes or no to that answer. We did want to get more aggressive because we were in, you know, the bonus early. We were in seven fouls shoot early. I forget how much time was in there, but then we got to the double. And then they're shooting the free throws well, so that's good.
That's been a point since Brian's having the free throw shooting.
I'm an excellent free throw shooting coach, just by the way.
Was there a discussion at halftime about shot selection? And if so, how did that discussion?
Well, it's funny you say that, Kev. Well, yeah, we did talk about shot selection, and it just, you know, making the extra pass. I mean, we got to get assists. We got to get just familiarity with the system and what looks occurred through the course of a set or through the course of an offense that has some continuity to it, like our flow game. You know, there's some different looks depending how you're guarded. So recognizing those looks is something that, it takes a little time. So I think that led to some of those challenge shots and some of those ill-advised shots. With that being said, Mark, I did not tell them to take those shots, just so you know. But we'll get them right. It's a process. You guys know that. Mike?
When Joe Van went on that streak when he scored 12 in a row and he was getting the free throw line over and over again, is there something in particular that he does to penetrating and drawing fouls, or that?
He's good at it. He's a tough little kid. He plays with a lot of confidence. He knows how to use his body, and he's very good at angles. We got to get that to the other side of the ball, but he's getting better on that side as far as keeping guys in front of him. I don't know how many blocks he has in his career, but that last foul, he probably shouldn't have tried to block him and just keep the guy in front. But offensively, yeah, he's crafty. The guy averaged 26 points, and I know it was junior college, but he's a kid that has a knack to score the ball, and that's one way that he does it.
Back-to-back wins, where you had to execute and finish down the stretch a single-digit game on a couple minutes. How useful is that moving forward?
No, that's valuable. It's a valuable lesson because you're going to be in that situation a lot. We were just in it our last game, So, and they learned, I think, a little bit from that one. It's down the stretch. We talked about this before. just down the stretch, you got to be able to make free throws, have very, very high percentage game-graded shots, you know, and then you got to get stops, and you got to be able to understand their personnel and their key guys, who they're going to, what the scouting report says, what are their go-to plays, what they run at a high frequency. There's a lot of that goes into the preparation for that last 4 minutes, what we call winning time. So we practice that a lot, and obviously it's, you know, we're making some headway. We got to get better at it, but we are making some headway in that area.
Only 2 offensive rebounds. What can you do to
Play 7 guys? I don't know, man. 2 offensive rebounds is suspect, you know. But again, we talked about that. That's right now is a little bit of our Achilles heel. So we got to do some things differently in practice. And I've got a great staff that's very creative. And they come through with a lot of good things that have been working for us. So I think we'll shore that up, but it's going to take a little time.
Is that more a function of them trying to get back on defense? Or
No, I think, you know, we were pressing after makes tonight, and I think they were thinking about that a little bit more than we added 2 or 3 components to the game. Okay, so when you do that, you're calling on them to be, you know, a little bit more attentive to the details. So maybe it caused a little slippage in that area, but I don't see why it would, but it did. I think that might have been one of the reasons.
The team got beat with points in the paint, 10 points specifically. Is that a concern moving forward, considering your speed of play?
No, I think that's an area. I don't know if it's moving forward. We already know that we got to keep guys in front of us. We knew that before we went in. So just like the rebounding, you know. So it's one of those deals where you just got to get better at it. It's a good team. You know, Fullerton's going to have a decent year. They're very well coached, and they got experience. And same thing in South Alabama. You know, usually Riverside, they had experience. I mean, we don't. These teams. I'm not saying that they're, you know, Final Four teams, but you know, they're decent wins. They're decent wins because I think we are going against a variety of looks and different types of offenses and defenses that'll, like we saw some 1-3-1 tonight. That's good to get it, you know, a taste of that. I know that I don't know if East Stacy still does it, but I know they used to do it. So you know, it's good to get some reps in there and go against it.
you're going to take full credit for the buzzer beaters that the team seems to get?
That's called the Breakfast Club. When they get up and they go to the Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club is you work on your own game early, we open it up, and they get in there and they go do some extra shots, and we practice those crazy shots at the end of practice, a lot of half-court shots and things like that. Most teams do that. So I wouldn't take credit for it. But if you want to give me credit for it, I'm just saying. So, no, that's all. That's players, man. Players make plays, you know, and that's you got to have some guys like that. I think, did Uche make one? And then JP made 1 or 2? That's good stuff. You need a little luck, you know. You know what luck is, right? Being prepared for opportunity. And they had the opportunity and were prepared. You can Google that if you want. Go ahead.
This is your 200th career win, and for a guy who got your first head coaching job, you know, a little later than some, I mean, that's a remarkable.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
What does that mean to you?
Well, honestly, somebody told me a stat of fastest or coaches that are fastest to 200 or something. I forget it, the exact deal. I'm not an ego guy, but it even made me go, really? You know, it was like I was ranked somewhere in top coaches in history because of how fast we got. Because I'm in the beginning of my 10th season, so almost got it in the 9th season. So over 20 wins a year as an average. That's really good. So, but that's not, you know, that's not me. That's it's your staff, it's your players, it's your whole family, you know. So I get the credit for it, but I got a guy, Paul Weir, who's, you know, over at New Mexico State as the head coach. Took a tough loss last night to the Lobos, but he was a large part of those wins. He was with me for all 9 years. Keith Brown, who's with me on staff here, was with me for 5 years. We go to postseason every single year that Keith was with me. So those guys share in those wins as well.
Mark, you talk about how crucial the defense on August was tonight.
Well, you know, it was good. He still got his 17 points, but we made him work to get it. Jalen did a really good job. Ben was on him in the first half. Uche guarded him for several possessions. Even Dwayne Morgan was on him one possession. He got caught up in the screen, but he missed the three. So, he's a big-time player, man. I'm telling you, he could be the player of the year out of that conference, out of the Big West. He has that much ability. And we did some things I thought that, made it a little difficult for him we knew he was going to get some buckets, but we wanted to limit his touches, and then we wanted to make sure we challenged him. And he didn't have a lot of made twos on the year. He has a bunch of threes, so we did some things, but that's just scouting report. The guys followed the scouting report. Defensively, I didn't think they did a bad job. Actually, they did a really good job defensively, even with the breakdowns of keeping guys out of the paint and lack of rebounding. They still, for the most part, they perform pretty well defensively.
As you go into next week with 3 games, including a back-to-back and some guys nicked up, do you look at distribution of minutes any differently tonight to me?
Yeah, you take each game as it comes. They're all mutually exclusive, so you got to try to win the game, and whatever that rotation presents itself, that's what we'll do. The guys that are healthy will play, and the guys that, I don't know that I'll manage it too much, but I guess maybe I should after that question. Who will try to win that first one, man? We'll worry about the second one second. Anything else? I want to thank all of you for coming out in this cold weather. Really appreciate it.